When did helping a stranger completely change the course of your life? Because for me, it happened at exactly 6:47 p.m. The moment my phone rang and I saw my sister-in-law's name flashing on the screen, which immediately felt wrong because she never calls unless something is seriously wrong. And before I could even say hello, she said, "Felix has been in an accident and your kids were in the car." Felix being my husband, who had taken our children to visit his family in Ohio while I stayed back in Florida. And she kept talking fast, saying a truck ran a red light. Felix was in the ICU. The doctors didn't think he would make it through tomorrow, that he was dying today. And in those 10 seconds, my entire world collapsed. My knees giving out as she told me they didn't even know the kids' conditions yet and that I needed to get there immediately. So I hung up and called Felix's hospital room, hearing his voice barely holding together on the other end, weak and strained, me telling him I was coming and him whispering, "Promise me," and I promised without hesitation, my hands shaking so badly as I searched for flights that I could barely type, finding only one seat left on a 9:50 p.m. flight to Ohio, leaving in 3 hours, the next option not until the following night, and without thinking about the cost. I bought it for $400 because money didn't matter, only time did. Throwing clothes into a bag and driving to the airport like a man possessed, traffic crawling when every second felt stolen from me. Security taking nearly an hour while my phone stayed silent no matter how many times. I refreshed or called for updates. Panic tightening in my chest as I speed walked through the terminal toward my gate, checking the clock and my phone over and over until I nearly slammed straight into an older man standing frozen in the middle of the concourse. Maybe in his 70s, eyes darting around like he had no idea where he was, grabbing my arm with trembling hands and saying, "Please, I don't know where I'm going. This is my first time in an airport," holding a crumpled boarding pass and looking like he was moments from breaking down. And even though everything in me screamed to keep moving, something about the fear in his eyes made me stop and ask where he was headed, only to see his gate was on the complete opposite end of the terminal, him admitting he didn't understand the signs or what any of it meant. So I started walking him toward his gate, explaining everything as quickly as I could while he moved painfully slow, every step stiff like his body was fighting him, my heart racing as I checked my phone and the time again. 15 minutes until boarding, then 12. And then he quietly said, "My wife is dying and I haven't seen her in 3 days." I drove here because I didn't know what else to do, and he started crying, apologizing over and over for slowing me down, and I felt my throat close because I couldn't leave him now even though my own family was slipping away, so I walked faster while he struggled to keep up, his breathing heavy. My mind split between Felix in the ICU and my kids alone in hospital beds. 5 minutes left when we finally reached his gate, him gripping my arm and thanking me through tears, whispering, "God bless you," and I didn't even respond before turning and running harder than I ever had, lungs burning, bag slamming against my hip, seeing my gate ahead with the door already closed, screaming wait and begging the agent as she shook her head and said the aircraft door was closed and there was nothing she could do, watching helplessly through the window as passengers settled in their seats, pressing my hands against the glass as the plane pushed back, taxied, and finally lifted into the sky, driving home in complete silence knowing I wouldn't reach Ohio until the next night, knowing my promise to Felix was broken, sitting in my driveway sobbing for 20 minutes until my phone rang again and it was my sister-in-law screaming so hard I thought this was the call, confirming his death, only for her to shout, "Are you alive? Are you okay?" asking about the plane, and when I didn't understand she told me to turn on the news, where I saw my flight number splashed across the screen as breaking news, reporting catastrophic engine failure 2 hours after takeoff, showing wreckage scattered across a field, smoke rising, emergency crews everywhere, the anchor saying there were no survivors as I stared at my unused ticket still open on my phone, realizing that helping a stranger had saved my life, flying out the next night to say goodbye to Felix while my children stabilized, and a week later seeing the old man I helped post online that he made it in time to say goodbye to his wife, knowing in that moment that one act of kindness rewrote the ending of my life.